In the quaint, picturesque suburb of Crestwood, the lives of Samantha and Robert King appeared enviable to outsiders. They lived in a sprawling, immaculate home, drove luxury cars, and were active in the community. On the surface, their marriage seemed the epitome of success and stability. But beneath this polished veneer, a darker undercurrent was brewing, leading to a tragic outcome no one could have anticipated. The story of Samantha and Robert King is a haunting exploration of how the pursuit of excitement and forbidden fantasies can lead to unimaginable tragedy. Prepare to be captivated as we dive into a chilling narrative of passion, betrayal, and ultimate demise, shedding light on a case that left an indelible mark on Crestwood. As authorities delved into the case, they uncovered a web of betrayal and deceit. The investigation unraveled a series of events that exposed how a harmless fantasy spiraled into a deadly obsession. Michael and Laura were thrust into the spotlight, and the truth behind Samantha's death came to light, revealing a tragic tale of desire gone awry. One fateful evening, the fragile balance of their lives shattered. The crescendo of jealousy and rage culminated in a horrifying climax. When the dust settled, Samantha was found dead under shocking and grisly circumstances. The tranquil facade of Crestwood was disrupted by a police investigation that revealed the dark underbelly of their seemingly perfect lives. Tensions soared when Michael's possessive behavior and Laura's jealousy began to surface. The once lighthearted game became fraught with manipulation and deceit. Samantha's obsession with Michael grew, pushing Robert to the brink. Their home, once a sanctuary, became a battleground of emotions and secrets. The four of them agreed to explore their fantasies together, setting the stage for an experiment that was meant to be exhilarating but was doomed from the start. As Samantha and Michael's relationship grew more intense, Robert found himself increasingly sidelined. The boundary between fantasy and reality began to blur, and what had started as a thrilling escapade turned into a volatile love triangle. Their search for the perfect couple led them to Michael and Laura Jensen, a charismatic pair who seemed to embody everything Samantha and Robert desired. Michael, a 35-year-old personal trainer with a magnetic charm, and Laura, a former model turned socialite, quickly became the object of Samantha's fascination. The initial meetings were filled with flirtatious banter and seductive glances, laying the groundwork for what would soon become a dangerous game. It all began with a conversation over dinner, an innocuous discussion about fantasy and desire that took an unexpected turn. Samantha and Robert, in a bid to rekindle their spark, fantasized about swapping lives with another couple. They imagined the thrill of new experiences, the excitement of forbidden encounters, and the novelty of breaking free from their everyday routines. What started as a playful experiment soon evolved into an intense obsession. It all began with a conversation over dinner, an innocuous discussion about fantasy and desire that took an unexpected turn. Samantha and Robert, in a bid to rekindle their spark, fantasized about swapping lives with another couple. They imagined the thrill of new experiences, the excitement of forbidden encounters, and the novelty of breaking free from their everyday routines. What started as a playful experiment soon evolved into an intense obsession. Samantha, a 42-year-old former beauty queen with a vibrant personality, had always craved something more than the monotonous rhythm of suburban life. Robert, her husband of 15 years, was a successful financial advisor who prided himself on providing for his family. Yet, as the years went by, the excitement in their marriage had dimmed, leaving Samantha yearning for a sense of adventure. The next story is stepfather's secret affair with stepson leads to brutal murder in the quiet town of Oakwood, nestled in the rolling hills of Vermont. The Parker family seemed like the perfect embodiment of the American dream. James Parker, a successful architect in his early 52s, was a respected member of the community. He was the proud patriarch of a blended family, married to the warm and charismatic Elizabeth, a woman who had brought light back into his life after the death of his first wife. Together they had crafted an idyllic life, raising Elizabeth's teenage son, Ryan, from her previous marriage, alongside James's own daughter, Emily. But beneath the facade of domestic bliss, James harbored a secret so dark and twisted that even those closest to him would have never suspected. A secret that, once revealed, would tear the Parker family apart and lead to a shocking and grisly crime that would leave the small town of Oakwood reeling in disbelief. It all began innocently enough, or so it seemed. As Ryan, now 19, began to mature, James found himself inexplicably drawn to the young man who had grown up under his roof. What started as a seemingly paternal bond gradually morphed into something far more sinister. James, a man torn between his responsibilities and forbidden desires, embarked on a dangerous path that blurred the lines between fatherly love and something far more inappropriate. Ryan, unaware of the brewing storm, began to sense the subtle changes in James's behavior. At first, it was the lingering glances, the unnecessary touches, the private conversations that seemed to carry an unspoken tension. But as the months passed, the bond between stepfather and stepson became increasingly complex, filled with confusion, manipulation, and ultimately, betrayal. The turning point came one fateful night when Elizabeth was out of town for a business trip. The atmosphere in the house was thick with unspoken emotions as James and Ryan found themselves alone. A simple conversation took a dark and unexpected turn, spiraling into a confession of feelings that should have never been spoken. Shocked and repulsed, Ryan tried to distance himself, but James's obsession had already crossed a dangerous line. As the days passed, the tension in the Parker household became unbearable. Elizabeth, sensing something amiss but unable to pinpoint the source, grew increasingly anxious. Ryan, tormented by guilt and fear, became withdrawn and moody, avoiding James at every turn. And James, driven by his forbidden desires, began to unravel, his behavior growing more erratic and desperate. Then, one evening, the fragile balance of their lives was shattered. Ryan, unable to bear the weight of the secret any longer, confided in a close friend about his stepfather's advances. But the truth had a way of finding its way back to James, and when it did, the consequences were deadly. Fueled by rage and humiliation, James confronted Ryan in a fit of uncontrollable fury. The argument quickly escalated into violence, and in the heat of the moment, James committed an act so brutal that it would forever stain the Parker family name. When the authorities arrived, the scene they discovered was nothing short of a nightmare. Ryan's lifeless body lay in a pool of blood, and James, once a pillar of the community, sat in shock, his hands stained with the evidence of his crime. As the investigation unfolded, the town of Oakwood was rocked by the revelations that emerged. James's double life, his forbidden desires, and the deadly obsession that had consumed him became the subject of public scrutiny and media frenzy. The once respected architect was now a pariah, his reputation destroyed, and his family left to pick up the pieces of a life shattered by a secret that should have never been kept. The story of James Parker and Ryan was not just a tale of forbidden love, it was a cautionary tale of how hidden desires, when left unchecked, can lead to devastating consequences. The tragedy that befell the Parker family serves as a grim reminder that some secrets are too dangerous to keep, and when they are finally exposed, the cost can be far greater than anyone could have imagined.